So let's start with Bayer, okay? So Bayer is listed in Frankfurt. It's one of the big German companies. It's got a big division that does pharmaceuticals, both for animals as well as humans. It's got a crop sciences division. That's what's key here. But then it also is involved with chemicals and some consumer products. Monsanto that it's going to buy, if it gets approved, is a sizable deal that will bring it to much bigger scale in the seeds and the Roundup glyphosate stuff, which is weed killer. We'll explain all of this in a minute. Currently, Bayer has got a market cap of about 100 billion euros. The Monsanto deal will add about $50 billion. So anyway, you can imagine it's basically 2 buys 1, roughly. Price to earnings ratio 21.45, dividend yield 2.23. I mean, Bayer is an interesting company, clearly, and it's certainly an attractive operator. It's a bit complicated, and there's more pharma in a way than there is agribusiness.
No, certainly. I think if they were to do this deal, which has been, I think, hanging on for a little bit a while now.
It's taken a while. Lots of regulatory approval
so
required.
Lots of back and forth in terms of trying to make sure that it's a good deal for all shareholders. Valuation looks a little bit stretched, you know, from the numbers.
Well, there's the chart, right? So you can see that it has picked up quite nicely, as have many European stocks. And I guess that's partly because of the positive outcome of the French election and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, you're saying valuation a bit stretched given that price to earnings ratio of 21.45.
Exactly. But also you've got a dividend yield not bad. I mean, for Europe, where your yields are quite low in terms of interest rates, they're quite low. So 2.3 dividend yield is not very bad. And if they do this deal, as you can see from the chart, the prices start to looking to recover.
Well, it's interesting. They've indicated that they don't think they're going to need to raise additional debt. They'll be able to fund this transaction through internal resources, which is kind of interesting. They've already conceded that they will have to sell their glyphosate product, which is called Liberty. So for those who are watching at home, the glyphosate products they've got work well with their seeds. So you buy a seed from Monsanto for corn or for soya or something. You can throw the glyphosate on top of it. It kills all of the weeds, but not the crop.
The crop,
because they've done some genetic engineering, which is quite incredible.
Well, that's the best way of farming now, because what you do is when you plant, you put your fertilizer and you put your chemicals as well, so that, you know, we call it dry planting.
So you get a better yield, even if the seeds are in fact developed in order to be drought tolerant.
Certainly. And then obviously once the rain comes through, or once you start irrigation, the germination and just the management of the crop becomes quite easier.
Look, I don't want to put a red herring out here, but how do you feel about genetically modified crops? Because I know that in certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa it remains a controversial item.
No, certainly. I think there are health concerns, you know, where people say it's not healthy, there are side effects. But I think given where we're going, and we just seen Mr. Trump refusing the climate control agreements, and if there is true threat, basically, of the global warming, unfortunately, we have to find ways of production.
Yeah, so it certainly looks, if you look at agricultural productivity in South Africa, where there's been extensive genetic modification crop adoption, it's much higher than in certain other regions of sub-Saharan Africa where they've been against it.
And that's the thing we talked about last time, the moral issue, to say, would you feed or let people die? You know, you've got people in Somalia and other countries where they can produce.
Okay, good. As far as Bayer is concerned, though, let's assume for the moment that they do pull off the merger. They're offering $128 a share to the shareholders of Monsanto. Monsanto's share price trading at about 120, indicating that it's likely that the deal's going to go through. If they do the deal, would you consider Bayer an attractive investment?
No, certainly I would, yes. I would.
You would be. Good. And we haven't even spoken about it, but Bayer's got a pretty tremendous you know, network of cardiology and women's health drugs, which continue to sell very well. Right, so let's assume we're going to go hot on Bayer.